Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, you'll learn how to do your own compression wrapping for your leg lymphedema. This is going to help reduce any swelling, fibrosis, or hardening of the tissues associated with the lymphedema that you have, and I'll guide you step by step through it. I'm Dr. Alex Hill, your physical therapist for everything oncology and lymphedema. I'm a board-certified oncology physical therapist, and I'm also a certified lymphedema therapist. Let's get wrapping. Compression bandaging is just one part of a comprehensive program called Complete Decongestive Therapy, or CDT, to manage your lymphedema. CDT involves compression, including compression bandaging that we'll go through in this video, and compression garments, exercise, manual lymphatic drainage, and self-care, which includes skin care to keep those tissues healthy and avoid infection. Compression bandaging involves using multiple layers of materials, including cotton, foam, this is a thin one. There's also some thicker foams if you have more advanced lymphedema, short stretch bandages. These bandages are what actually give you that compression to reduce the swelling in your legs. These short stretch bandages are not A-straps, so you see they're not as stretchy. These are going to be safer and more effective for treating lymphedema, so make sure you use a short stretch bandage, not an A-strap when you do these bandaging. The compression wrapping that I'm showing you in this video is for somebody who has mild to moderate lymphedema, and it's just one simple way to wrap your leg to reduce that lymphedema and the swelling associated with it. If you have a more advanced lymphedema, you have skin changes, it's very hard, you're likely going to need more aggressive wrapping technique, including thicker foam. So make sure you talk with your lymphedema therapist about what you need to best wrap your leg and get that swelling down. So before we start wrapping, here are 5 important tips to remember about compression bandaging. Number 1 is always work with a certified lymphedema therapist to get a full assessment and a personalized treatment plan together first. This video that you're watching right now should be used just as a general resource and guide to help you continue doing compression wrapping at home after you've been diagnosed with lymphedema and after you've seen a lymphedema therapist. I am going to include some links in the description to help you find a lymphedema therapist near you, because again, it is key to work with a lymphedema therapist if you have lymphedema or lipedema. Number 2 is the compression bandaging should be snug but not tight, and it should never be painful. If you notice that your foot or your toes start to turn bluish or purplish or white, you have pain or numbness or tingling, that means that the wrapping is too tight and you want to unwrap it and redo it a little bit looser. Number 3 is always check your skin after you unwrap. If you notice any sores, open wounds, leaking from the skin, make sure that you contact your medical provider immediately. Number 4 is compression bandaging is ideally worn 22 to 23 hours a day. So it's a lot of time. You really just want to be out of the compression for 1 to 2 hours a day. And during that break that you have the compression off, you're going to bathe and do your manual lymphatic drainage, and then you're going to rewrap. It's important to continue rewrapping because as the leg gets smaller, we keep wrapping it until it gets down to its normal size or as near normal as we can. So again, it's important to have that compression on 22 to 23 hours a day. However, you can keep the compression on up to 2 days, but make sure that you check your skin again every time you unwrap. Number 5 is compression bandaging works best when you exercise and when you're active. So if you need an easy, gentle exercise routine that's effective with helping to reduce swelling that you can do with your compression on, click the link above, or I'll link it in the description below for, again, a nice, easy, gentle routine to help complement that compression, help get that swelling down even more. All right, so let's talk about all of the supplies that you'll need. So first up, you're going to need scissors and you're going to need tape. I like to use 3M transport tape. It's easy to rip and to use with the compression wrapping. So you can use transport tape or any other medical or surgical tape. You can even use masking tape that works pretty good. I would not use duct tape. That's a little too overboard to do the compression wrapping with. Next is plain white lotion like Eucerin or the store brand equivalent. You don't want to use anything that has perfume in it. That can dry out the skin, potentially irritate the skin. And remember, we want to keep the skin as healthy and moisturized as possible. So just use a plain white lotion. If you have drier skin because of that lymphedema, it's been there for a while, make sure that you use a thicker cream that's going to really get into those tissues to hydrate them. You're also going to need toe wraps like Elastomol or Molelast. You can get a 1 or 2 inch roll, and then what I like to do is actually fold that in half and then re-roll that. So it's going to be a little bit thinner, but because the width is a little bit smaller, that's going to help with getting around the toes better. I find that it keeps them more secure and you get better compression at those toes. You'll also need stockinette, and there's different sizes of stockinette. This is a smaller width. There's also ones that are much wider, especially to use at the thigh and if you have larger legs. When you cut the stockinette, you want to cut it for at least 1.5 times the length of your leg. If you have really large legs, then I would recommend folding it over and measuring twice the length of your leg. The reason why is as it stretches out, you're going to lose some of the length. So we want to make sure that it's long enough that it's going to go over the toes a little bit and up past the thighs so we can fold it over at the end. So again, you want to make sure that you have enough length to the stockinette that when it stretches out, it's not going to be too short. You'll also need either a cotton batting like Salona or Artiflex, and especially for the full leg, there are ones that are 15 centimeters compared to a 10 centimeter. If you're just doing the lower leg and you have a smaller leg, then the 10 centimeter might be okay. But if you're doing a full leg, I would recommend getting the 15 centimeter. The cotton is going to be really good for people who have mild lymphedema, if you have venous edema, or if you have lipedema. The alternative would be to use a light foam. This is Rosidol Soft. And so with the foam, I think that it helps it stay on a little bit better. It's also going to give a little bit more compression compared with the cotton. And so this, just like with the cotton, you can get in 10 centimeters like this, or you can get it in a 15 centimeter. Again, I would recommend the 15 centimeter so you can get it all the way up the thigh if you're doing a full leg wrap. And then finally, you're going to need the short stretch bandages. Again, these are not ACE wraps. Most people will need a 6 centimeter for the foot and the ankle, an 8 centimeter for the calf, but if you have a very large calf, you may need a 10 centimeter. And then you can use a 10 or 12 centimeter for the knee and the lower thigh, a 12 centimeter for the thigh, and then finally you'll also need a 12 centimeter by 10 meter, so it's a lot longer, and that's going to be needed if you're doing the full length of the leg, because this is going from the bottom all the way up to the top. So if you're doing the full leg, make sure that you do have this 12 centimeter by 10 meter compression wrap. So in this video, I'm going to show you first how to do compression wrapping up to the knee, and then for those who need to do the full leg, I'll then continue all the way up the thigh. First, you always want to make sure that you have clean, dry skin all the way from the toes, including between the toes. Make sure they're clean and dry all the way up to where you're going to be wrapping. Also make sure that you don't have any areas of irritation, sores, or wounds. Next, you're going to add a generous amount of lotion, again, all the way from the toes up to where you're going to be wrapping. It's okay if the lotion doesn't get completely absorbed into the skin, because remember, we're going to have that compression wrapping on for that 22 to 23 hours. So we want to make sure the skin stays moisturized and it doesn't get irritated with the wrapping on. As you can see, I have all of my supplies ready to go, including my strips of tape. That's definitely going to save you as you start to do the wrapping. So now that we've got lotion on, we're going to put the stockinette on. Remember to make sure that it's long enough that it's not going to be too short once you pull it all the way up. If you're wrapping up to the knee, then make sure that the stockinette comes above the knee. And if you're wrapping the full leg, make sure that it comes up so you have extra material all the way at the top near the groin. Once you have it on, make sure it's smoothed out and there aren't any wrinkles. Next, we're going to wrap the toes. You can either wrap the toes over the stockinette, or you can fold the stockinette back and do the wrapping directly on the skin. So when you start to wrap the toes, hold it like a snail. You're going to wrap it once around the midfoot to anchor it, and then you're going to come to the big toe, bring it right behind the toenail, and then you're going to wrap about 50% overlap and 50% tension around the toe, and then exit at the bottom of the toe. And then you're going to wrap around the foot, bring it up to the next toe, and then you're going to, again, just below the toenail, start to spiral down with that 50% overlap and 50% tension. You want to make sure that you're covering the entire toe, but you're not going all the way onto the ball in the sole of your foot. So again, once you get to the bottom, you're going to exit and then come around the bottom of the foot, go around the next toe, make sure that everything stays smooth, you don't have any wrinkles. You're going to give that overlap, spiral down the toe till you get to the bottom. Make sure you, again, have the entire toe covered, and then X at the bottom. And then this is actually the last toe that we do. We don't typically wrap the pinky toe. So you come around, cover the whole toe, and then do the last X. And then with the excess, you can either just lightly bring it around the foot, or you can just clip it. Now, with the toe wrapping, if that's difficult for you to do, there's also toe sleeves that you can get on Amazon or Target, Walmart, or any drugstore, and you can place those over the toe instead if you have a hard time doing the toe wrapping. Once you finish wrapping the toes, you're going to ideally not have nail polish on. You're going to press the nail bed, and then when you release, you should see that from pressing it, it turns it pale, and when you let go, it should refill and turn a little bit pink red within a couple seconds. If it doesn't and it stays pale, or if your toes start to turn bluish or purplish, then that means that you wrapped them too tight. Go ahead and redo it, just do it a little bit looser. Next, you're either going to use the cotton batting, or you're going to use the Rosidol Soft, that thin foam, and this is going to be the base layer. Again, if you have mild lymphedema, or you have sensitive tissues from venous edema or lipedema, I would use the cotton. Otherwise, if you have mild to moderate lymphedema, then you can use the foam. And if you have more advanced lymphedema, where you have a lot of skin changes and fibrosis, then you'll likely need a more aggressive foam that's a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch thick, and that's something that you'd want to talk about with your lymphedema therapist. For this video, I'm going to show it using the cotton, and again, this is a 15cm cotton. You're going to hold it like a snail, just like we did for putting on the toe wraps. You're going to start it just behind the toes, and you're going to wrap it around the foot and the ankle and the heel, and you're going to spiral up with about a 50% overlap, and you're going to bring that all the way up the leg. If you just have swelling below the knee and you're only wrapping to the knee, that's where you can stop. So you may do better with just using a 10cm cotton or Rosidol. So again, if you're wrapping just to the knee, that's where you'll stop. You can tear that off. Or if you're wrapping the full leg, then you can keep going. And when you get to behind the knee, I'm gonna lift my leg up here so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to actually fold that over a couple times, and that's going to give some extra padding and protection for behind the knee. All right, now it's time to use the short stretch bandages. So when you do your wrapping, you always go from smallest to largest. So start with that 6cm bandage, and again, you're gonna hold it like a snail. You're going to place it at the bottom of that cotton, so right behind your toes, and you're going to hold it it with one hand as you wrap it around. You're going to give about 50% tension. So you're going to wrap that twice, and then you're going to start to come up the foot with a 50% overlap. And when you get to the ankle where it bends, make sure you keep your ankle at a 90-degree angle. You're going to come up around the ankle and then cross at the front and then come around the heel. If you don't cover all of the heel, if there's a little bit of cotton showing, that's okay. We are going to do one more wrap coming up to cover that. So once you come up around the heel, then you're going to, just like with the cotton, start to spiral up about 50% overlap. And then we've got our tape that we already pre-ripped or pre-cut, put that on. And then you're going to get the neck size up. So we're using the 8 centimeter, and you're going to start it at about mid-foot, and then you're going to wrap it once to secure it, and then you're just going to spiral up. So you're going to cover the heel, cover the ankle, make sure now that all of the white is covered, and then just like we just did, we're going to spiral going 50% overlap all the way up until we get to right below the bottom of the knee. If you have a little bit extra, then you can just gently place that and then finish with a piece of tape. So if you're only wrapping up to the knee, then you're done. You're going to then fold the stockinette over the top like that, and then you're going to fold the bottom stockinette up, and you can put some tape around it to secure it. Once you're done wrapping, I would still do that toe test. So squeeze your big toe, see that it turns pale, and then when you release, within a couple seconds, you should see that blood flow return. If not, if it stays pale, if it's bluish or purplish, or you're having numbness or tingling after wrapping, then undo that wrap and do it a little bit less tight. Otherwise, if you're doing the full leg, then we're gonna keep going. All right, so if you've already done the back part of the knee, that's great. We're gonna keep going up with the next cotton. If you used a 10 centimeter at the bottom leg, then go ahead and start with the 15 centimeter, do that same folding behind the knee, and we're going to then just bring it all the way up the leg. Again, about 50% overlap as we bring it up. And ideally you get it as high up as you can when you're doing the wrapping. That's gonna help it stay up a little bit better. If you have extra, you can either just tear that off, or you can bring it back down a little bit to make everything as even as possible. Next, you're going to take your 10 centimeter bandage, and you're going to start at the last place that you finished the wrapping, below the knee. You're going to wrap it once around, and then with your knee slightly bent, you're going to come at an angle to the mid-thigh. You're going to wrap around once. That's basically acting like an anchor, and then you're going to exit back down. Here's another view. So you're going to bring it angled up, wrap around the mid-thigh, and then angled down. So you're going to have an X at the back of the knee. That's going to help with decreasing the amount of irritation. And then you're going to do that same 50% overlap going up the thigh. Now, if doing that X is too difficult for you to do, then just spiral up the leg. And when you get to the knee, just make sure that you don't have a crease there. You want one ending here and then the middle of that bandage right in the middle of the knee, just to help decrease any irritation. So you're going to take a 12 centimeter wrap now, and you're going to start just above the knee, and again, giving that 50% overlap. You're going to come all the way up the rest of the way on the thigh, and if you have extra, then just loosely place it and then put a piece of tape down. So now we've got the ankle and foot, we've got the calf, we've got the knee, we've got the thigh. Now's the time that we take that super duper long wrap, that bandage that is 12 centimeters by 10 meters, and we're going to start all the way at the foot and come all the way up the thigh. So taking your bandage, you're going to start at the foot. If it's too big on your foot, then you can start up at the ankle, but otherwise you'll start at the foot. Hold that down so that you get good tension, and then you're gonna come all the way up, making sure that you have everything covered, and then we've got that 50% overlap going all the way up, still giving that 50% tension, and this is giving that good equal tension and compression all the way up the leg now. Keep going until you get all the way up to the top of the leg. And then again, if you have a little bit extra, that's okay. Just lay it loosely down. And then I always recommend lots of tape once we get to the top part to help make sure that it stays. And then the very last part is going to be folding over that stockinette at the top and at the bottom. Again, you can do some tape along the top and bottom of that foot part, and then you can still do that toe test, making sure that you squeeze, it gets pale, and then that blood flow returns. If you have any bluish, purplish discoloration, numbness, or tingling, then just redo that last wrap, and you got your full leg wrap done. A couple more tips as you do the compression wrapping. As the leg gets smaller, these bandages will get looser. So you may find that if you have a lot of swelling that you lose quickly, that you'll actually need to rewrap maybe twice in a day versus just once a day. Make sure that you are washing the stockinette after each use or using a new one, and use new toe wraps after each time that you wrap. Again, we wanna make sure that your supply stays clean so we avoid any type of infection. You can also wash the brown bandages, those short stretch bandages. You can wash them either by hand washing or put them in a delicates bag, and then make sure that you air dry them. Don't put them in the dryer. And then finally, with this compression wrapping, remember this works best with activity and with exercise, even as simple as going for walks or bicycling. Yes, you can move with this wrapping. We want to keep moving each of those joints to help reduce that swelling. If you need a full exercise routine to get that leg moving, make sure you click the link above or in the description below for a gentle but effective full exercise routine for that leg lymphedema. I hope you found this video helpful. Please like this video and subscribe to make sure you don't miss any new videos on how to manage your leg lymphedema.